Good morning, everyone. This is Yvonne Mason. I am your favorite independent best-selling author. This morning, after a couple of sleepless nights, I decided that it was time to give a podcast on something that I do every day and something that is very close to my heart, and that is caregiving. The word is the newest buzzword for those who look after those who are disabled, including the young and the not so young. But before I get into the job of caregiving, let me define that word for you. Caregivers, to give care, to see to the needs of others on a daily basis who can no longer look after themselves. Now, on the surface, it doesn't sound like it would be that hard or that detailed. However, if one has never been a caregiver, one cannot fully appreciate the depth of the job. But you might say, it isn't that hard. I am a nurse. I do it every day. Yes, you do. And God bless you for it. However, at the end of your shift, you get to go home and leave it to someone else. You do not live with it 24/7. That takes a special kind of person. A person whose entire life is rearranged to the needs of the person they are caring for. A person who puts their needs, wants, and desires on the back burner in order to make sure the person they are caring for is always first. Let me just break it down for you. When a baby is born, that baby is taken care of 24/7. That parent is on call 24/7. But as that baby progresses and grows, not so much. The baby becomes a little bit independent. There comes a time when the baby is grown up enough, it can take its own bath, it can feed itself, it can fix its own food. Someone who is disabled does not have that ability. The caregiver has to anticipate that person's needs, even when the disabled person does not know them themselves. There are nights of no sleep. We were always on point. There's meals to be prepared, showers to help with doctor's appointments, medicines to administrations, needs to be met, in addition to the normal everyday activities that at one time might have been split between the two partners. There's errands to be run, housekeeping to be done, emergencies to be met, problems to be solved. Oh, and forget travel. Travel becomes an impossible mountain to climb, because the caregiver is the one that does all the driving, all the packing, all the unpacking, all the loading, all the unloading, all the reservations, all the things that have to be done on a travel. We have no downtime. We have no time to re-energize. We run off of fumes most of the time. We have sleepless nights, exhausted days, physical and mental tiredness. Caregivers are a special breed. They do what needs to be done because they love the person they are caring for. They've made a commitment to that person. They don't do it out of any sense of obligation or reward. It just is what it is. Now, I say all of this to say this. When you see a caregiver, don't ask them how they are and then say, well, you have to take care of yourself or you won't be able to take care of so-and-so. We know this. We are not idiots. We also know that it is not always possible to take care of ourselves because we are the only person that the person we are caring for can depend on, especially an adult who at one time was independent and then has become disabled. That in itself is embarrassing, humiliating, and at times it causes self-anger. When you see us, what we would like to hear is, hey, how about I bring dinner over tonight? Or, I'm coming by this afternoon to see so-and-so, so you can go shopping, or just out someplace for a few hours. You see, it is not so much for us, the caregiver, but it is for the person that has become disabled, because more times than not, they become isolated. For whatever reason, their friends disappear. They say they don't have time. But you know what? They always have time for those things that they want to do. Maybe they're embarrassed because they too might be in that position one day. Just because someone has become disabled, that doesn't mean they don't need social stimulation. They need it now more than ever. It's just too hard for them to get out. And when they do, they're so exhausted, it's hard to enjoy themselves. What I'm trying to say is this. Being a caregiver is more than just words. And unless you are one, you cannot fully appreciate the job. Some things just don't get done because they become unimportant and there's no energy left to do them. We don't care if the dusting doesn't get done or the floors don't get swept. All of our time is taking up caring for the person we love. I want to read you a poem by Bruce McIntyre called A Poem for the Caregiver. Unknown and often unnoticed, you are a hero nonetheless. For your love, sacrificial, is God at His best. You walk by faith in the darkness of the great unknown, and your courage, even in weakness, gives life to your beloved. You hold shaking hands and provide the ultimate care, your presence the knowing that simply you are there. You rise to the face, the giant of disease and despair. It is your finest hour, though you may be unaware. You are resilient, amazing, and beautifully unexcelled. You are the caregiver, and you have done well. So I leave you this day with this thought, and that is, if you know someone who is a caregiver, think before you speak, and don't offer advice. Just be a friend and be there. That is what we need. We don't need advice. We live it. We know. We understand it. What we need is a friend. Please go on Amazon, where you will find all of my books, from inspiration to horror to comedy to crime fiction to true crime, and purchase my books. And if you find that you are inclined to do so, leave me a review. My books are all downloadable. I even have audiobooks. You can also get them in paperback. So until next time, thank you for taking the time to listen.